Sunday Assembly of Sacramento, and the Stockton Area Atheists and Freethinkers. How about a round of applause, please, for all of these wonderful people that have made today possible. We all had a wonderful time last night at the fundraiser reception. We thank you so much if you attended and for being part of that event. And thanks to the Reason Center for being such a great host last night. Also thanks to the state of California for today's venue and the CHP for keeping us safe today. Do you use Threads or Instagram? If you are a TikTok influencer and you're out there, if you tweet or use X, I guess now, or whatever, use the hashtag Freethought Day. Share your experiences here today with us and with your friends and followers. And be sure to follow us at Freethought Day on those social networks. For those of you that are here in person, hello, nice to see you. And don't forget to visit the community tables. You can win all sorts of interesting things. There's a survey as well in your program. All you have to do is collect 8 stickers from participating teams for a chance to win one of the 3 gift baskets filled with over $300 in books and goodies. If you don't have a program, you can get it at the registration desk, which is kind of straight ahead of me. If you are at home watching on the live stream, you can also win door prizes. Just take the survey. It's going to be sent to your registered email address later today. And of course, finally, I want to remind everyone here at the Capitol and viewing at home that we do have a code of conduct and a privacy policy, and they are in effect, which you can find those, by the way, in your program and on our website. We want everyone here to feel safe. We want everyone to feel welcome. And if you have any concerns of any kind, seek out a volunteer or a committee member. I was told I could have some remarks, so I thought I would talk to you a little bit about one of my favorite things, which is learning how to say I don't know. I'm a self-proclaimed professional nerd. My job, my name is Dominguez, by the way. I'm a science communicator. I make videos about anything from metaphysics to particle physics, from doomsday scenarios to the history of pizza. Seriously, whatever I can think about that I think is interesting, that I can find research on, papers to read, academics to talk to, experts to listen to, I'm going to go do that. I've been very lucky in my 10-year, 11-year career. I have been to the Arctic Circle to see a seed vault that's basically a big mine in the middle of a mountain. I flew in an F-18 once. I really did throw up in that F-18. They let me keep the flight suit, which was nice of them. I've been to the Large Hadron Collider, which is the biggest particle accelerator in the world. It's just really amazing the kind of things that you can do when you work in the world of science. The thing is, I've done all these things, and I've told all these different science stories, and it makes people assume that I'm like a walking encyclopedia. So anytime people have questions about anything, they might just call me or text me and ask me all these things. And they just assume I'm good at trivia, which I'm not. I'm terrible at trivia. Without fail, I have no idea who was in that movie. I don't know the name of that person on that sports team, and I'm terrible at recalling facts on demand. And I think people know what that's like, right? It's frustrating, it's humbling to not know things when people expect you to know them. But I'm here to say you should embrace it. Embrace not knowing. Because not knowing things is powerful. So much so that in our language, you don't even need to say, I don't know. You can just go, You know exactly what that means. There are no words there. But it's a feeling that you know exists. And I realized that this was less embarrassing as an adult. But as a kid, I was also a huge nerd, surprising no one. I went to space camp, band camp, scout camp, and physics camp. I read the World Book Encyclopedia for fun. I just wanted to know things. I didn't want to say I don't know. When someone asked me or when we were talking about something, I want to be able to say, oh, I read that. I know something about that. It's a thing that you just inherently want to do. And when this was the 90s, so when something would come up that people didn't know anything about, nobody had read anything about, we just kind of had to sit there and are not knowing, right? Today, that's not the case. You have a search bar in your pocket. It's very rare that we don't know something. Do y'all remember just like not knowing and not being able to find out? That is so weird now. If they're like people under 25 here probably feel like that's awful, that you would just have a conversation and not be able to answer a question, that you would just never know. Because you're at a campfire somewhere in the middle of nowhere and you're just like talking about that movie. Who was in that movie? Oh man, I don't remember. Does anybody? And then you just talk about it for 20 or 30 minutes and no one has an answer, but you end up getting to know each other. You talk about movies and you talk about the quotes from those movies and the actors that you like, even if you don't know their names. You talk about what you liked about the movies and all of these other things that you would never have talked about if you just went to a search bar and said, oh, is that person? And then never talked about it again. Not knowing is a superpower. And looking back, it's uncomfortable and weird to not know things, but some of the best conversations I've ever had come from not knowing. And not knowing, I'm a science communicator, so threw in some science. Psychologists have done research with 4-year-olds where they actually have the 4-year-olds and 3-year-olds sit with adults. And the adults that admit uncertainty, when the 4-year-olds ask them questions, if the adult says, I don't know that, or I'm not really sure about that, but I think it's this, those adults are deemed by those children more trustworthy because they don't just know everything. They also have uncertainty. It's more natural. It builds trust, and it shows that we're all learning. When I was a teen, that was not the case. I already knew everything. But as I became a science communicator in my career, I learned that the more you learn, feels like sometimes the less you know. Because there's just so much to know about everything. I worked with this producer she's so smart, and she's worked with all of these big names that you had heard about. And she would know all of this stuff about all of the stories that we were going to tell until she got in an interview with the expert, with the scientist. Talked to this guy. He helped take the picture of that black hole that came out a few years ago. He was doing the data analysis for it, and she knew all about it, how it worked, why it did this, why they were doing that, why we were talking to this person. She sat down, and she knew nothing. In that scenario, she sat in front of this person who knew a lot, and her job was to know nothing and just ask questions and try and learn. And I'd not seen anybody do that before, somebody who I knew stuff. And she was just like, so I don't get it. Why are you doing this? And he had to explain it to her. And she got all of this on camera, and it came out really, really great. Because saying I don't know is vulnerable. It lets people open up to you and say, oh, you don't know? I also don't know. Let's talk about it. Let's figure it out. We've become conditioned, because we have these search bars in our pocket all the time, to seek answers anytime a question is posed. How do you get to that place? You're not going to think about it. You're going to pull out your phone and you're going to look it up. Who was in that movie is a great innocuous question, right? But you're probably just going to go to IMDb and find out, as opposed to think about it and try and talk it through. No disparagement there. We all do it. But I challenge you to try not to do it once. Get your friends together and have like a no phones night. You'll be surprised the number of things you end up talking about, because you're not just Googling answers. You're not just going, you're not binging them, no judgment, whatever. Just go to a party, go to a bar, go to your friend's house, and sit there without your phones for just an hour even, and talk about stuff and see what happens. You're gonna itch. You're gonna want to go grab your phone and answer these questions, because not knowing is uncomfortable, but it's also really valuable for vulnerability, connection, conversation. It's fun. I've done it a few times, and every time we end up being like, this was cool, let's do it again. Sometimes we don't, but we still talk about it. This year's theme is The Science is Golden, but no experiments can exist without that very first part of the scientific method, which is asking a question, having a hypothesis. And that comes from a place of not knowing. We don't know why this happens. Let's ask a question and try and figure it out. So every discovery, every invention, everything that we know came from a place of not knowing. There's a lot of power in that. So celebrate the power of I don't know while you're wandering around today, thinking about all of these different things. Cherish the conversations and debates that can come from that. Embrace the I don't know, because, let's be honest, it's powerful. It's great. Now, please join me in introducing the president of the California Freethought Day, David Diskin.
All right. Well, good morning, everybody. How are you all today? So good to have you here. As you heard, the theme of our 22nd event shines a well-deserved spotlight on the scientific method and those who use it to better humanity. Living here in the Golden State, there's no shortage of inspiring examples. We have witnessed spectacular advancements in gene editing developed by researchers in Berkeley, helping us find new ways to feed vast populations and stop the spread of disease. Our friends at Lawrence Livermore Labs have achieved net positive fusion energy. We've seen the successful application of mRNA vaccines, which have saved billions of lives, thanks to the research and clinical trials conducted throughout the UC system. After its assembly at Redondo Beach, we launched the James Webb Space Telescope to improve the view of the stars. And new developments in machine learning by dozens of companies here in Silicon Valley are making information more accessible in creative ways. Of course, these discoveries come with new challenges and ethical questions that are of no surprise to any fan of science fiction. But today we choose to focus on the hope that science brings us and those who have dedicated their lives to its advancement. We'll celebrate the growth of STEM in our schools and a new wave of students